What's up, guys? Welcome back to another American Horror Story 1984 theory video. And I have to say, before I even get started, I want everyone to go down to the comment section below and tell me what you think about this theory, because honestly, the more and more I think about it, the more I like it. So let's jump right in by getting off the ground and saying, what the hell is going on with 1984 at this point? I mean, obviously, the first 3 episodes, if you're anything like me, you loved them. I mean, they really just took the baton after the first episode, which I had my doubts about, and they started running with it. I mean, we got to the climax of any classic slasher film immediately, with the added caveat that this is American Horror Story, and if it's going to be crazy, they're going to turn it up to 11, and it's going to get even more crazy. And right now, we're really seeing the fruits of that labor with 2 serial killers out on the loose in Camp Redwood, and somebody is laying down traps. Now, at the time of the recording of this video, we don't know who that is. I'm not going to even speculate in this video of who that is. Maybe it's going to come into play sometime later down the line, or we're going to just skip over it in the next episode and we're going to get to the end of this nonsense by the end of the 5th episode. With all of that being said, what did you click on and what is this all about? Well, I really do believe that 1984 is going to have some kind of a time skip. Now, how does that work out? Well, let's go over what we do know. As of the recording of this video right now, we do know that episode 4 of American Horror Story 1984 is entitled True Killers, the synopsis of which says that Mr. Jingles closes in on the one who got away as the counselors rally to escape Camp Redwood. And then episode 5, that's going to be airing on October 16th, 2019, is entitled Red Dawn. Its synopsis is, as twilight broaches, the survivors brace for a final brawl. And really, as I've talked about before in my reviews and my theories, speculations on the trailers, one of the things that came brutally to light after my viewing of the first episode was that we were going to be in the camp and that the first 5 episodes were going to take place over the course of one night. Now, I'm still not an entirely huge fan of that, but I do really believe that this theory has its merits if it ends up panning out. We're going to be dealing with the fallout of this night, these characters, everything they went through during the course of the first 5 episodes, and it's really making me wonder, you know, after all of this is said and done, like every classic slasher film that's come before this, why would they stay at this camp? I mean, everything that we know from classic slasher films and just in general everything is that at that point, after everyone is murdered at the camp, that is not going to open. These kids are not going to come have fun or anything else like that. So barring the idea that this entire season is going to be taking place over the course of basically 2 days or maybe even a week, depending on what they do, I'm going to go ahead and say that my theory might be correct and we're going to get a time skip. Sometime or maybe even over the course of episode 6, which as of the time recording this does not have a title, although it is titled episode 100. So, you know, congratulations to all the fans. We did it. There's 100 episodes of this series. It's going to be in syndication forever at this point. And obviously, I already did a video about whether or not we're going to get season 10. We are. And then season 11, and then season 12, 13, 14, maybe even 15 and beyond, because who knows when this is going to end, especially with everything going on. So I'll put the link to that video in the description so you can go check that out and hear my thoughts of that as well. But right now, we don't have an idea of what's really going to happen in that episode, although they do have a brief synopsis. With episode 6, the synopsis is, with the horrors of the night behind them, the survivors deal with the fallout of all of their choices. So yeah, it's really starting to look like we're going to have somewhat of a breather episode over the course of the 6th episode in order to kind of get us ready for everything that's going to happen over the course of the rest of the season. But I don't think that that's going to end up being a really long time, and it could be that everything after that night happens and then they get caught up in something completely different just minutes later, or it can be that everyone goes their separate ways and they come back to the camp for a specific reason, maybe sometime later down the year, so it's still 1984. In fact, if you look at the synopsis for episode 7, you're starting to see a little bit of why this theory might make sense. Entitled The Lady in White, airing October 30th, 2019, the synopsis is, a hidden chapter in Camp Redwood is revealed. The survivors help a stranded hitchhiker. And this is really interesting to me because honestly, we do have Jonas. We don't know exactly what's going on with him or whether or not they're going to tell us more of that in the next coming episodes, but we do know that they're going to have to breach that subject sometime during this season. But really interesting there to me is, yes, we know his name is Jonas, and obviously this is just a really brief synopsis and they're not really trying to give anything away, but why not give that away right now What if after they go away from the camp, they come back maybe a year later, maybe kind of 6 months later, so it's still in the year, and they're trying to find closure with everything that happened that night. And I'm not talking about everybody that we know right now in this show, because obviously everything that we learned with this last episode, Montana and Rita helping the Night Stalker and Mr. Jingles respectively, maybe we're only dealing with Chet and Brooke, Xavier, and probably anybody else who's still alive at the end of all of this. Maybe they have to come back in order to deal with all of this stuff, their secrets, and trying to move on from everything. And one of the things I love about this theory and why I feel like it makes sense is, first and foremost, one of the initial things that we heard with American Horror Story 1984 is that when they brought in Gus Kenworthy, he was slated, or at least described, as Emma Stone's Brooks character's boyfriend, which kind of makes this a little bit more interesting because, I mean, how is that possible? They just met. They don't seem to have any chemistry, at least right now, unless there is some kind of time skip, you know, just maybe even a couple months or something, in order to get them together and bring them back to Camp Redwood, where they have to deal with Jonas and this whole time travel or ghost thing, whatever is really going on there. And at the same time, I feel like this would give a lot of credence and callbacks to some of the most frustrating concepts of 1980 horror slasher films, taking a page from the Scream franchise, where the final girl or the survivors from the last film are brought back at the very beginning of the next film, or at least the next part of the story, and killed off immediately in order to set up brand new characters. Having these characters have lives beyond this particular night, showing that they've grown and they're trying to face this situation that they went through or lived through just a couple months earlier, would be a really interesting story dynamic to explore, and it would allow us a chance to kind of reboot the series, as I've been saying in my reviews and my trailer breakdowns, and kind of make a little bit of a twist where the story kind of shifts into something a little less slasher filmy and a little bit more friendly to maybe bringing in the aliens from American Horror Story Asylum or something else akin to the American Horror Story mythos, and really start connecting all of the seasons together, especially if season 10 is going to be its last. I mean, Ryan Murphy has been saying for so long that American Horror Story is all connected, and it's really going to start making sense the closer they get to the ending. And, you know, obviously with Apocalypse, that kind of makes sense, but it really leaves a lot more questions left unanswered. So maybe they can use this season to start tying a lot of stuff together. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, the more I think about it, like I said, the more I'm really getting into this idea. I really want this to be the case, and I think it would do well for the series, these characters, and just allow us a little breathing room in episode 6. But I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about this in the comment section below. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.